Today, we're jumping into something really fascinating. It's a look at a fictional manuscript from the final years of the incredible anthropologist Margaret Mead. And in it, she gives this powerful warning she never actually got to deliver, a warning about a world that is becoming, well, fundamentally unrecognizable to us. So let's explore what this final urgent message was all about. Right at the heart of this manuscript is a really deep, profound concern. Mead is basically saying that for the first time in all of human history, we're standing at a threshold with no elder, no ancestor, not even a story to guide us. We are, as she puts it, walking into country that has never been walked before. And that simple fact, well, it changes absolutely everything. So what is the core problem here? Mead pinpoints something she calls the failing backward glance. And it's not just an idea. She describes it as this deep, almost biological mechanism for how we figure out our place in the world. And her argument is that this mechanism, it's breaking down. Now, the backward glance isn't about being nostalgic or, getting stuck in the past. Not at all. It's that deep, gut-level feeling that history provides this solid ground right underneath our feet. It's a map. It's how cultures have always found their bearings in time. And this slide just lays out the shift perfectly, doesn't it? The past, it used to be that solid foundation, that reliable map. You could just sort of absorb the knowledge you needed. But now, it feels like the ground is dissolving right under us. The map is totally useless, and trying to get relevant knowledge is this constant, exhausting effort. That old stability is just gone. To make this feel a little more real, Mead pulls from her fieldwork in Bali. See, in Bali, people are oriented by the ancestral mountain. It's like they carry it inside them, so they always know where they stand. But what happens when that internal compass just stops working? What happens when our own ancestral mountains start to disappear from view? All of this disorientation leads to something a lot more personal, something that hits closer to home. It's a breakdown of generational knowledge that Mead labels the grandmother problem. And this brings the whole crisis right into the family, to the kitchen table. You have to understand, in traditional societies, the grandmother wasn't just a sweet old relative. She was a structural necessity. She was a living library of knowledge that you could never write down. How to soothe a crying baby, how to read the weather in the sky, how to prepare food just right. She was this living, breathing coral reef of experience. But then, something massive happened. A great inversion. Think about it. A rapid shift. Driven by war, new technology, huge cultural changes, it just broke the circuit. And now, for what might be the very first time in history, the oldest members of our society often have less adaptive knowledge about the world than the youngest. The whole flow of wisdom has completely reversed. And this leads Mead to ask this really haunting question. A baby's body, on a biological level, is wired to trust its grandmother. It's instinct. But what happens when the world, the culture, is screaming that her knowledge is obsolete? It creates this deep, biological conflict right at the very heart of how we build a society. So, from the family, Mead zooms out to look at culture itself, and she gives a name to our totally unprecedented moment in history. She argues we've entered an age where there is simply no map at all. Okay, so in her earlier work, Mead outlined 3 types of cultures. You have post-figurative, where you learn from your elders. Makes sense. Then co-figurative, where you learn from your peers, your friends. And prefigurative, where the elders actually learn from the young. But in this final manuscript, she adds a shocking 4th stage, the afigurative age, where no one has the map. There's no model to follow. So what is an afigurative culture? It's an era where the territory is so new, so uncharted, that literally no one alive has any relevant experience. Not the old folks, not our friends, not even the kids who seem so native to this new world. We are all pioneers now, whether we like it or not. There is zero precedent for what we're going through. And this idea completely reframes the modern mental health crisis, doesn't it? I mean, what if all this widespread anxiety isn't a personal failure or some chemical imbalance? What if it's actually a perfectly sane and accurate response from our bodies? The organism realizing it's been dropped into an unknown land without a map and told to just start walking. Okay, so is there any hope? Is it all just doom and gloom? Well, no. Mead doesn't just leave us in despair. In the last part of her work, she shifts from diagnosing the problem to pointing towards a potential path forward, and she introduces this really powerful new metaphor for how to live. She suggests that we have to become a navigational culture. Now, this was inspired by the ancient Polynesian wayfinders who crossed the entire Pacific Ocean without a single chart. It's all about developing a totally new human capacity, the ability to travel without a map. So let's just break this down. You've got the Western sailor, who relies on an external, fixed map. That's all about prediction and control. But then you have the Polynesian navigator. They succeed by reading the present moment, the feel of the ocean swells, the position of the stars, the flight of the birds. For them, knowledge isn't external, it's embodied. They don't follow a plan, they respond with this incredible acute attention. And that's what this demands from us, a huge shift in focus. The most essential skill for our time is not knowing what comes next. It's not prediction or control. The skill is developing an acute, embodied, and collective attention to what is happening right now. It's about building a culture of presence, not a culture of planning. And this brings us to what might be Mead's most profound and powerful insight. For thousands of years, our stability came from the land behind us, from our past, our history. But she argues that's over. The only real ground we have anymore is the ground we are standing on in this very moment. The land is not behind us. It is beneath our feet. And so we're left with her final urgent question, a question for all of us. If the past can't be our anchor anymore, and the future is completely unknown, then where do we find our footing? In a world without a map, where do you find your ground?